पर मोहम्मद व आले मोहम्मद सलवात. At this time, I'd like to request Brother Ali Zain for recitation of Quran with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ale Muhammad.
من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ياسين والقرآن الحكيم إنك لمن المرسلين على صراط مستقيم. تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباؤهم فهم غافلون. لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون. إنا جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا في إمام مبين صدق الله العلي العظيم صلوات
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Jazakallah khair Ali Zain for that amazing recitation. Another loud salawat for him, please. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. At this time, I'd like to request Brother Ali Zain to continue the program with recitation of salam with the loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ale Muhammad.
محمد صلوات سکینہ کہتی تھی بابا مجھے بہت مارا سکینہ کہتی تھی بابا مجھے بہت مارا جہاں بھی جس نے بھی چاہا مجھے بہت مارا سکینہ کہتی تھی بابا مجھے بہت مارا مدینے والے محمد کی میں نواسی ہوں بتایا جس گھڑی میں فاطمہ کی پوتی ہوں جو نام دادی کا آیا مجھے بہت مارا سکینہ کہتی تھی بابا مجھے بہت مارا یہ درد ہوگا فراموش نہ کبھی مجھ سے تھے اس کے ہاتھ تمہارے لہو میں ڈوبے ہوئے کہ جن سے شمر نے بابا مجھے بہت مارا سکینہ کہتی تھی بابا مجھے بہت مارا یوں اپنے بچوں کو بات होशी के वास्ते उनकी मुझे रुलाते रहे। मैं चुप हुई तो दोबारा मुझे बहुत मारा। सकीना कहती थी बाबा मुझे बहुत मारा। लहद में आएंगी दादी तो उनसे बोलूंगी मैं 4 बरसों में लगती हूँ आपके जैसी। हूँ मैं भी पहलू शिकस्ता मुझे बहुत मारा। सकीना कहती थी बाबा मुझे बहुत मारा। मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु।
पर Muhammad wa ala Muhammad salawat. Jazakallah khair, Brother Ali Zain, for that amazing recitation. Inshallah, at this time, I'd like to request Sister Rabah for recitation of poetry with Allahu Salawat ala Muhammad wa ale Muhammad.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. This poem is called The Unseen Weeper. In a majlis full of souls that ponder, weep, and grieve, there is a man who sits among us, who the people seldom see. His heart encompasses the pain of the whole of humankind, his soul a finite mirror of the love of the divine. He is acquainted with the secrets within the heart of every being. He makes dua for every lover, for our guidance and well-being. For every time our hearts grow heavy with the burden of our sins, he experiences that heaviness as if it belongs to him. In this age of dhulumat, where darkness reigns supreme, mankind is dazed in slumber as if caught within a dream, and the heart of every lover grows restless in its cage as it seeks a sanctuary in this catastrophic age where genocide goes unpunished and colonizers get ovations for the rates at which they bomb children dying of starvation. Tonight we offer our condolences to the master of our time, the one whose justice we await to shift the broken paradigm of this wounded, dying world built on capital exploitation, enriched by the dying embers of systematic deprivation. Please illuminate the way, beloved master of our time, in this world that stands submerged beneath the gravity of crimes too numerous to mention, too horrific to recount, with enemies too powerful for the weak ones to surmount. No longer can we bear the sight of children set aflame. No longer can we tolerate their agony and pain. For in the faces of the children that flee the burning tents of Rafah, we see the shadow of a girl who fled a tent in Karbala. As her clothing caught on fire and her tender cheeks were bruised by the shameless slaps of tyrants and their merciless abuse. The revolution of Hussain lives on within our rage. The revolution of Hussain lives on within our rage as we vow to rise against the Yazid of every age. Ya Muntaqim, Ya Qa'im, as we weep for Abu Abdullah. Deepen our wilaya and our submission, O Allah. Grant us the tawfiq to bear witness to his reign. Grant us the tawfiq to join the avenger of Hussain. May our salams be unto you, Ya Baqiyat al-Anbiya. May our salams be unto you, Master of the awliya. Please grant us your ziyarah with our hearts and with our eyes. Please grant us your wilaya in every era of our lives. And on the day when hearts are weeping for the fear of Allah's wrath, O beloved of Zahra, keep us firm upon your path. O Hujjah of our time, may our hearts belong to you. Please forgive our sinful souls as we make our way to you. Salawat.
Jazakallah khair, Sister Rabab Zaidi, for that amazing recitation. Another loud salawat, please. Respected Sheikh, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum. Condolences to the Imam of our time on the tragedy of Arba'in and the painful journey of Karbala to Kufa and Kufa to Sham. A special thank you to Sheikh Mahdi for accepting our invitation. Your presence is always a blessing for our community. Your speeches, knowledge, and an overall presence is always a gift for us. For Sheikh's health and safety, and inshallah soon return to CFK, allow salawat, please. Before I request a Sheikh to ascend the member and begin his speech for tonight, just a few announcements. Please, just a general reminder that there is no food or drinks in the main hall aside from water. Please note some upcoming programs for this week. Inshallah, on Monday, there will be a Seekers Club with Sheikh Amin Rastani held in the DYG Lounge upstairs. That's this upcoming Monday on August 19th. Inshallah, on Tuesday, there will be a tafsir and tea. Please look for more program detailed announcements on our WhatsApp group. Next weekend, inshallah, we'll be commemorating the tragedy of Arba'in with a 3-night program starting on Friday, August 23rd through Sunday, August 25th with Sheikh Mahdi Rastani. Please note that August 24th at 10:30 a.m. there will also be a Boy Scouts Majlis with Sheikh Mahdi Rastani. For more details, please look for updated details on our WhatsApp announcements. Before I request a Sheikh to begin his speech tonight, I would like to request everyone to recite a Surah Fatiha for the marhumin of tonight's program sponsors. Let us also include our own marhumin and mu'minat and those of the Muslim Ummah. And one more announcement, please forgive me. Inshallah, after the CFK program tonight, there will be a private program starting at 9:30 p.m. for Shab-e Aza. For more program details, please look for our details on our WhatsApp announcement. Inshallah, that's tonight at 9:30 p.m. here in the main hall after the CFK program. At this time, I'd like to request the Sheikh to ascend the member for a speech for tonight and request the brothers and sisters to move as close to the member as possible as more people will be coming in with the loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ale Muhammad.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وعجل فرجهم وعلى الأتيبين الأطهرين الهداة المهديين سيما بقية الله في الأرضين عجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Inshallah, we'll continue the discussion we began last night. We were looking at the description that Abu Abdullah al-Hussain alayhi makes about his companions on the night of Ashura, and use that as a point of comparison for some of the other statements or some of the descriptions that other Imams, especially last night focusing on some of the statements of Imam Ali alayhi has made about some of his, you can call, companions or those around him. And in doing so, we're trying to better understand what does it mean to be, you want to say, a true companion, an effective companion, a loyal companion, a companion that shows commitment, a companion that's all in. What does that look like? And especially we want this not to be a historical exercise, but we're asking kind of in real time for us to be considered a companion of the Imam of our time. May Allah hasten his reappearance. What does that look like? How can we try to position ourselves so that the Imams will make statements like that of the companions of Imam Hussain alayhi and not like some of the other statements that have been made about other such companions of Imams. So the statement that Abu Abdullah alayhi makes on the night of Ashura is this statement. It's that powerful statement of truly I know no companions better and more loyal than you. It says, فَإِنِّي لَا أَعْلَمُ أَصْحَابًا أَوْفَى وَلَا خَيْرًا مِنْ أَصْحَابِي. So that's kind of the aspiration, that's the goal. That's where we're hoping to work to find ourselves, inshallah, and that our efforts are in ways that are approximating us to that type of a position. Because, of course, we know, like in many of the instances, people would come out of the sincerity that they had, they would come and ask the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, you know, why are you all kind of, maybe not in a great way of saying it, but why are you all on the sidelines? You can come, you can do more, people will, you know, accept you, they will give you your due position, they will look to you as a source of religious leadership and teaching and guidance and all those things. It's almost like saying, you know, you have more than you think. You have more support than you think. And then, you know, in example after example after example, the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam show those individuals, you know, what kind of support they're looking for and why that's wanting. Why we don't have that today. So you know many of these examples. Example of Harun al-Makki and others. The Imam says this is the type of people we're looking for. So these are the most loyal companions. And we said we wanted to start looking at some of these companions then. Why does the Imam make this kind of very profound statement that these are the most loyal, these are the best? He said one avenue to do that is to look at these people that were there, and though the history doesn't tell us that much about who they were and what they did, and they lived long lives, many of them longer than, you know, an average lifespan today, but we don't have, you know, books and pages that are dedicated to them. But one thing that we do have, that the history is recorded for many of them, is the battle cries that they recited as they went into battle. So those are, I think, important historical documents for us to study, to learn what kind of people were these, what kind of companions were these. So last night and tonight, we were studying a portion of this battle cry of Yazid ibn Ziyad. And this one statement, we said, is a very simple one, but it's a very powerful one. It says, Ya Rabbi, O my Lord, inni lil Hussaini nasiru. I am for Hussain a supporter. Wal ibn Sa'adin tarikun wa hajiru. And to Ibn Sa'ad, I'm someone who has left him, I have turned away from him, and I have forsaken him, renounced him, emigrated away from him. Okay. So last night when we looked at the example of some of the companions, we can say, of Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam, you can see that even in this basic idea of lending support in the right times, in the right ways, of renouncing support for not competitors, but those who were really in conflict with the truth, these individuals struggled. And it's not for us to judge and say, oh, how bad were they? It's for us a point of reflection. And it's a real question. Because these people, many of them, you know, they abandoned their lives, they were on the road, they were really sacrificing a lot. Yet the Imam makes these sorts of statements. So last night we surveyed some of these. I'm not going to repeat all of them, but for those of you who may not have been present, some of these statements are, you know, they seem very harsh. They're very, they come from a place of, you can say, frustration and disappointment. So in some of those statements we said, and all of these are found in sermons of Nahj al-Balagha. In Sermon 180 we said in some passages, the Imam says, "O group of people that when I call you, you don't respond. When I give you an order, you don't respond accordingly. O people that your ability to do good and to fight for the truth and to strive for the truth and to establish the truth has all been made for you, yet you find yourselves waiting. So what is it that I can do to facilitate that? O group of people that when the day comes that we will be separated, and that day will surely come, it will be in a state where I am sick of you. I've had enough of you. That means I'm relieved to be distanced from you. And though you may be around me today, I don't feel supported. I feel alone." Again, he says, though you are not like those who are, competitors have been called to, these people are not the learned, the knowledgeable, those who were early in their faith. And these are just kind of some of the, they don't have high aspirations in life. They're of a lower class in society, not socioeconomically, not necessarily politically, but we're talking about, value and from their worldviews and their lifestyles and their objectives in life. How is it possible that you can find someone with such lower moral character that they can find themselves so effectively uniting people towards these sorts of things? So, some of these things are really, they ring true because, again, some of us may find ourselves thinking, wow, how did the world get to a point that a figure like figure A and figure B and figure C, though none of the markings of a leader or a whatever other political position you want to call it is there, yet they seem to be so effective in, having people lend support and rallying people around some basic idea. How is that possible? So Imam's saying the same thing's happening. Oh, you people who are supposed to be the inheritors of the religion, and those who I have taught, you know the truth from falsehood. I have given you the explanations of the Quran and all that stuff I did, so you know. Yet why do you find yourself struggling? And yet these people who you can call them, mustad'af, if maybe had they known better, they wouldn't find themselves in this position. But even considering that, how are they so effective in their mobilization, in their collaboration? So what's wrong? Right? This is a pain. This is a pain of the world today. Where are all the good people in the world? Why is there so much evil in the world? And so I'm not a good person, but I would imagine all of you being good people, you're probably scratching your heads and saying, oh, where are all the good people? What's going on? I don't understand. But all the good people are looking to each other and they don't know what's happening. How did things go so wrong? In that sort of question, there's a moment, an opportunity for reflection. Hopefully some epiphanies will occur. Some people will have some realizations. Oh, no, things did go wrong. And there were reasons for them. And maybe I also played some role, or I had a responsibility and I didn't do it. So now we find ourselves here. Anyway, so the Imam speaks about some of his companions this way, to say, this is not, please don't find some sort of theological explanation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala willed this so it happened. Yeah, okay. Maybe there's a theological investigation to occur there. But, for me to sit idly by and allow something to happen and then decide it was, God's will, so I couldn't do anything about it, is really, I think it's not genuine to the way that we conduct ourselves in our lives. Right? Anyway, so the Imam is speaking about his companions this way. And he makes these du'as, oh Allah, send some other people. Change them for me and change me for them. We don't seem to be compatible with each other. What I want to do seemingly is not what they want. So, you can't force it. If there's no chemistry, then let them go seek what they want and allow me to seek what I want, which is to serve your cause. As that, oft-quoted verse of the Quran, La ikraha fid din. We want to do activity A here. You want to do activity B here. Okay. You don't want to do activity A? Go do activity B. I like to do activity A. The clarity is important though. So the Imam is kind of speaking about that. Now, you look to statements of Abu Abdullah. You're the best companions. You're the most loyal companions. So clearly, there's a harmony that exists there about what they're doing, why they're doing it, how they're doing it, and what it means to remain consistent on that path. So, this Yazid ibn Ziyad that says, Ya Rabbi inna lil Hussaini nasiru. So in this nusra, this support that he's giving to his Imam, that itself is kind of almost like a miraculous thing. So where does that come from? The Quran tells us that the divine support is always there for Allah's messengers and the believing peoples. This is not something that Allah leaves to chance. Yes, the people have also a role to play, but the support of the messengers and the believing people is not fully in the hands of, outsourced to the hands of the free will of the people. The Quran tells us in Surah Ar-Rum, ayah 47, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا. Certainly we sent as messengers. Maybe the people requested God, but whatever, we sent as messengers. مِنْ قَبْلِكَ رُسُلًا. Before you, messengers. إِلَىٰ قَوْمِهِمْ. To their people. فَجَاءُوهُمْ بِالْبَيِّنَاتِ. They came, they presented a clear discourse, clear proofs. That means they spoke in a way and they presented their program in a way that made sense. They came and said, this type of practice in society is not to everyone's benefit. So we should find a way to change it. It's not healthy in an economy for a select few to become wealthier and wealthier and wealthier to the point that everyone else in society is suffering and doesn't feel like they are enjoying even the basics. This is not the sign of a healthy society and a healthy economy. So we should change this. And how should we change this? These are the basic principles. So they came, they didn't just give slogans. They also gave a program. And the program was coherent. So the messengers came and they presented these ideas. فَانْتَقَمْنَا مِنَ الَّذِينَ أَجْرَمُوا. Then we took vengeance upon those who were guilty. That means, as a part of this program of reform, should the people accept it and support it, we said, these are the guilty parties. Should they accept their fault and repent or take responsibility? Fine. But those who remain what? Arrogant. Think that they are better than others. They are cut from a different cloth. They are superior. Then we make sure that we deal with them in a way that they understand. Some of these people with a soft tongue, sure. وَقُولُوا قَوْلًا لَيِّنًا لَعَلَّهُ يَتَذَكَّرُ وَيَخْشَى. Maybe if you speak with them in a soft way, maybe they will have a change of heart. No problem. Everyone deserves a chance. But some of these guilty parties don't understand the soft tongue. Or it's not efficacious. You can soft tongue as long as you want. Oh, please, oh, peace, oh, just not going to happen. You can maybe go and ask. You can request. I think we should run things this way. Okay, that's nice. You just put your head down and keep doing your work. Right? There's a box for good ideas, and you can put your idea in there, and from time to time, maybe someone will open the box and look at it, but don't you worry about that. You just focus on. Everyone stay in their lane. Right? So those who are the architects of destructive societies, that means in ways where people are subjugated and taken advantage of, and you create these hierarchies of peoples, Allah says we take the vengeance against these sorts of architects. Okay. وَكَانَ حَقًّا عَلَيْنَا نَصْرُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. And then Allah concludes this ayah saying, it is surely a right that we have, a responsibility that we have to lend support to the believing people. That means it is not fair, and this is Allah speaking about what is fair or right, or it is not fair for us to deliver this message of change and reform and betterment, fulfillment in society, knowing well that they're going to experience resistance and opposition and all that, and that we do not lend support to them. So our support for them is guaranteed. So when Yazid ibn Ziyad is saying, I want to lend support to Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam, we want to make a little bit, it doesn't mean that Allah says, okay, we're not going to support, let's see. No, the divine support is there. But for each person, Allah says, okay, let's see where are your principles, where are your values, where are your priorities. Some of us think, if I don't help, if I don't give my support, then this won't be successful. No, my brother, my sister, that's not what it's about. Those activities that are pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that are driven forward by mu'mineen, believing peoples, not just by tongue, but in action, in their hearts, the divine support is already there. It is whether we also want to lend our support, and I apologize, I don't mean it in a materialistic way, but even how much equity do we want to have in a certain activity? These initiatives are going to be successful. And sometimes I think it's a little short-sighted or distracting that for a person to think that, I don't fully believe in this initiative, so I'm going to refrain from lending my support so that, no, my brother, my sister, if something's truly for Allah, then it will succeed. It's just how much you and I want to participate. And Allah says, no problem. There's no la ikrah fi din. You don't have to. But know that you're going to get a much better return on your investment should you support these projects. Because you already know what? You have the support of what? You have the backing of whom? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They say too big to fail. These sorts of initiatives are too big to fail because they have the divine support. So Allah is saying that as a type of reassurance for that group. Generally, the believing community in these sorts of situations, they're small. They don't feel like they have the requisite support. They don't feel like they have developed a critical mass. They feel like everyone, the whole world is against them. Allah says, don't worry. Be patient. We're here with you. The victory is ultimately yours. It will not always seem that way, and you will find yourselves in positions where sometimes you may question. And the doubt is not a doubt of your true faith. It's a doubt of, in the circumstance, a question arises. In that difficult moment, the believer may ask, Mata Nasrullah? What happened? I thought we were guaranteed victory. In the darkest moments, that question may arise. Ala inna Nasrullahi qareeb. It's nearby, don't worry. You think everything's falling down, it's not going to be destroyed. Relax doesn't mean to, just sit on the side and that means remain firm. Remain firm in the steps that you're taking to support these initiatives, this project, this truth. So now Yazid ibn Ziyad says, I want to be a supporter of Hussain alayhi salam. Oh my Lord, you be a witness. Inni lil Hussaini nasiru. Now you say, well, Allah is going to support what are we going to do? Everyone to their own capacity. Sometimes we think, I can only support if I give some lump sum. No. The way that we're taught, if we just follow some of the basic things that we have in our tradition. They say if you want to give sadaqah, you want to think of another person, help another person. You don't have to give lump sum payment. If you can, great. Otherwise, they say it's better for it to be consistent and less than it to be inconsistent and large. Why? Because when you only have a few opportunities, let's say throughout the week, throughout the months, throughout the year, what happens? If you miss that opportunity, it is, for me, I really want to, on the night of Ashura, give a big contribution to a project that I think is serving the cause of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Alhamdulillah, Allah bless you. What happens if that day you become busy? I'll do it tomorrow. Then I'll do it tomorrow. Before you know it, 1 year passes. You lost the opportunity. But what happens if you're giving a small contribution every day? It's consistent. whatever contribution it's going to be. You know, the all-powerful fiat currency or alternate forms of currency or your time or your whatever it is. Allow it to be consistent even if it's small. Ya Rabbi inna lil Hussain nasiru. I'm helping. I'm present. People can depend on me. The Imam can depend on me. I'm there. I won't leave. These are the companions of Hussain alayhi salam. And the Ahlul Bayt are teaching people, don't overwhelm yourselves. Just start from the basics. The basics that you know, just start there. Again, in Nasr al-Balagha, Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam is telling one of his governors, governor of Basra, Uthman ibn Hunayf. So he's a governor, you know. You all know that very famous letter to Malika Ashtar. And so he's sending obviously instructions and letters to his governors, sometimes proactively, sometimes reactively. Here, he's heard that this governor, Uthman ibn Hunayf, was invited to a very lavish banquet. Okay, so not necessarily anything haram happening there, but it's really high class, you know. $200, $300 a plate sort of dinner. Okay. So Uthman ibn Hunayf goes there, and so the Imam sends him a letter. He said, I hear you go to these kind of banquets. So he starts giving him instruction. He gives them a basic principle to follow. He says, Ala wa inna li kulli ma'mumin iman. Every follower has a leader. Yaqtadi bihi. They follow them. You see, if you don't have this basic organization, you have chaos. Who's providing leadership? Who's providing guidance? Who's providing direction? Who helps making some of these we call executive decisions? There has to be that. Otherwise, you have chaos. وَيَسْتَضِيءُ بِنُورِ عِلْمِهِ. And they are following the knowledge of that individual that takes light. أَلَا وَإِنَّ إِمَامَكُمْ قَدْ اكْتَفَى مِن دُنْيَاهُ بِتَمْرَيْهِ. Says, the Imam that you follow, me as your leader, I take for granted that you accept me as my governor. He has decided it is sufficient for him. He has contented himself with this dunya with 2 shabby pieces of clothing. وَمِن تُعْمِهِ بِقُرْسَيْ. And for his food, 2 simple loaves of bread. So you all know about this because you're students of the Imam. Says, listen, I live simply. This is the choice that I've made as your Imam. أَلَا وَإِنَّكُمْ لَا تَقْدِرُونَ عَلَى ذَلِكَ. I know you cannot follow me at this standard. It's not feasible for you. However, I may eat simple meals, but you shouldn't also find yourself going in banquets because you say, well, I decided not to eat just simple bread. I want to eat 5-course meal. Mom says, no. وَلَكِنْ أَعِيُونِي. Follow me, support me, lend support to me, build that consistency. How? بِوَرَعٍ وَاجْتِهَادٍ وَعِفَّةٍ وَسَدَادٍ. Do these few things. And they are even subjective to you. Number 1, wara'. Wara' means have taqwa. Have a sense of what taqwa looks like. Taqwa sometimes means maybe you go to the banquet, you go to a nice restaurant, but one night that you don't go, you shouldn't feel like something's wrong. Taqwa. Sometimes you want something, you have to tell yourself no, even though it's halal. So being protective over that. Wajtihadin. You have to work hard. You have to apply yourself. You have to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and say, maybe I'm not doing the best job. Sometimes we don't want to lie to ourselves. I'm not doing the best job that I can, but I think I'm doing an acceptable job. A person needs to look and say, I think I'm serving the cause of my Imam. Wa'ifatin. And for the person to have that behavioral composure, that chastity. Wasadadin. And for them to be upright in their behavior. So Imam says, if you have these few things, it's okay, it'll be enough. You'll still be a follower of ours. But these are the basics. These are the foundations. Without this, what's going to happen? You're not going to be able to lend support to us. Another of the shuhada of Karbala by the name of Anas ibn Harith al-Kahili. Inshallah, I'll give a short example of him with the salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So we know of the shuhada of Karbala, we have very young, we have newborn children, they're very old. Anas ibn Haris is one of the very old ones. And in the accounts, they describe what that means. So he's sheikh. Sheikh, not like a term of respect for someone who, sheikh means old man. Wa abuna sheikhun kabir, Quran. It's old man. So this Anas is an old man. And he's famous because he was a companion of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. That's how old he is. It's not that, year 61 after Hijrah. So it's not like that old, but still. He was a companion of the Prophet and so was his father. So he said, I heard from the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. He says, Inna ibni, my son. And sometimes the Prophet, peace and blessings, used to call Imam al-Hassan and Imam al-Hussain, alayhi salam, his sons. He says, that means this Hussain, my son, يُقْتَلُ بِأَرْضٍ مِنَ الْعِرَاقِ, that he is going to be killed in some land in Iraq. فَمَنْ أَدْرَكَهُ مِنْكُمْ فَلْيَنْصُرْهُ. Anyone who happens to experience means like he sees him, knows of it, is aware of it, then they should lend support. In some historical accounts, it's not exactly clear whether, reliability, but it's there. It says that, Anas ibn Haris heard some of these things were happening. He didn't want to fight. So he left the city, he left Kufa. He saw all these things were happening in Kufa. He said, I don't want to fight. So he went out. He's an elderly man. He's like, oh, these young people. So as he comes out, he happens to be in a position where Imam Hussain is stopping at these many stations. And he has an interaction with Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad al-Ju'fi. And there he tells him, I can't fight. I have other things to do. I have debts. So he says, to take my supplies. I have a horse. I have a shield. Imam says, we don't need these things. Go. In that historical account says, Anas heard this and he said, oh, okay. I remember the hadith from the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. Whoever sees Hussain, this is going to happen, let them lend support. So Anas comes. He's an elderly man. It says his eyebrows were in a way that they would kind of slump and come over his eyes. So you couldn't see well. If you know some of the elderly people, sometimes it's like that. Although sometimes in these cultures, maybe we don't feel comfortable. We feel insecure about our aging, so we Botox and all these other things. Whatever. He was his face was natural. His eyebrows would slump over his eyes, so he couldn't see well. So he had risen his eyebrows and kind of positioned them in place with a turban that he had tied. So he came to the Imam and says, allow me permission. This is the hadith. So I want to go fight. The Imam says, may Allah reward you. Go. So even this old man, they say he also tied a wrapping around his back. And he went in the middle of the battle and he even recited battle cries. قَدْ عَلِمَتْ كَاهِلُهَا وَدُودَانُ وَالْخِنْدِفِيُّونَ وَقَيْسُ عِيلَانُ بِأَنَّ قَوْمِي قُسَمُ الْأَقْرَانِ يَا قَوْمِ كُونُوا كَالْأَسْوَدِ الْجَانِ آلُ عَلِيٍّ شِيعَةُ الرَّحْمَانِ وَآلُ حَرْبٍ شِيعَةُ الشَّيْطَانِ. This old man, he comes and he recites what lines? He says, these tribes that I'm Kahil and Khandaf and Qais al-A'yan, all these people know that my tribe is the destroyer of all of its rivals. So he's saying, I'm no pushover. I'm a real warrior coming here to fight. He says, O companions, be like a roaring lion, that surely the Alu Ali, they are the followers, the Shia of Ar-Rahman, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wa Alu Harbin, and those who are here to fight, that means the opposition, they are Shi'atu Shaytani. He comes and he fights. They say in some accounts he kills a few and he becomes Shaheed. Old man, this is how he lends his support. Now, no one's asking for us today to do anything like this. But what are they asking? You clearly have something that's valuable to contribute. That can be at the service of Islam and the service of your Imam and the service of Mu'mineen. Everyone come and make their contribution. And our needs are so vast. The project of the Imam, Ajalallah Ta'ala Farajah, is so vast that all these different skills are needed. You may say, well, I don't know how to do this, or I'm not knowledgeable, or I don't have money, I don't. Yeah. Imam also needs artists. Beautiful art we have here in the remembrance of Ahlul Bayt. These are valuable things. One example of a poet that was in the service of the Ahlul Bayt, who would recite poetry for them, very interesting figure, by the name of De'bil al-Khuzai. He's a poet, he's a master poet. So he was always writing poetry in support of Ahlul Bayt, and also not just that, he would write poetry censuring and in sarcasm of other peoples. It wasn't that he was just saying this is the truth. He says, you're wrong and this is the reason why. So obviously, there was a lot of heat, and he found himself moving around a lot because, they would send after him. So this De'bil has a very famous poem that he writes, masterful poem, that he prepares and delivers in the presence of Imam al-Rida alayhi salatu wasalam. This ode, Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. This Ta'iyya or Madaris al-Ayat, very beautiful. It's about 120 lines. So he said, I had prepared this and I came to see Imam al-Rida, and I was going to recite it for him. I didn't want to recite for anyone before I came to the Imam to recite. So he comes to the presence of the Imam, they say in that account, and the Imam tells him, good for you, De'bil. Marhaban bika ya De'bil. Marhaban binasirina biyadihi wa lisaneh. Well done that you lend support to us with your hand and with your tongue. Not only do you write, compose, but you recite it. So he starts reciting this masterpiece to the point where the Imam even engages and he adds a few lines of his own. So after he finishes this, the Imam is showing appreciation. Obviously, no one who sincerely makes a contribution will there be left not rewarded. Quran says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ إِنَّا لَا نُضِيعُ أَجْرَ مَنْ أَحْسَنَ عَمَلًا. Anyone who does a good thing, Allah will reward them. The Imams were very intentional about also giving rewards, even monetary, to these people. De'bil was given a bunch of gold coins, among other things. However, De'bil was also smart. And he said, Ya Imam, I want something more than these things. Of course, thank you, I appreciate it. He says, I want something that can be a source of purification for me, that I can also be buried with it. Maybe it can cure some of my sins. And it's not clear, did he ask or it was given? But the Imam went and prepared for him a shirt. And he gave him the shirt and he says, be very protective over this. احتفظ بهذا القميص. Be protective over this shirt. فقد صليت فيه ألف ليلة كل ليلة ألف ركعة وختمت فيه القرآن ألف ختمة. So this shirt that I'm giving you, 1,000 nights I've stood in prayer. Each of those nights, 1,000 rak'ah I've done. And I've completed the Quran with this 1,000 times. De'bil, take this. So this is the support that's given. And sometimes these artifacts are also given to a person as a source of encouragement. But the point is this, my brother and my sister, all of us have not even some things that we have been given as a type of a capacity, a power, a skill, that Allah has given that to us, and now serves as a test of how we're going to use that in the service of Islam, in the cause of our Imam. Each person's test is different. But the more of these skills that you have, so long as you have some appreciation of really how skilled you are, immediately the question should be, how can I use this in support of the cause of my Imam, and what can I do to improve it? And when we start thinking this way, now all of a sudden you're always hungry to better yourself. Why? Because I can make a better contribution. Ya Rabbi inna lil Hussaini nasiru. So that's one part. You can say, okay, well, I'm going to work on this, but there's another part too. What? وَلِبْنِ سَعْدٍ تَارِكٌ مُهَاجِرُ. Not only am I lending support, but I'm also making sure I'm distancing myself, I'm renouncing something too. Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salatu wasalam in Sayfat al-Sajjadiyah, He asked Allah, Allah protect me from a few things. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika. I seek your protection, your refuge from a few things. The dua begins like this. Min hayajan al-hirs. Protect me from this, the agitation of being greedy, avaricious. Like I want everything for myself. I don't want to give. No. And then he continues, وَإِيثَارِ الْبَاطِلِ عَلَى الْحَقِّ. Protect me from that. That I somehow find myself lending support to the falsehoods and not to the truth. وَأَن نَضْعُدَ ظَالِمًا. And I find myself somehow aiding a wrongdoer. See, remember that question we asked before? The believing peoples, the good peoples of the world. How did we get here? The Imam is kind of giving some hints. Maybe in the way, not you all, someone like myself, I'm not a good person, but the way that I'm living, maybe there are ways that I don't even understand. Unintentionally, I'm lending support to a wrongdoer, to an evil, to an unjust system. And I perpetuate through my participation that injustice. Let me give one example and inshallah we'll end here. See, it's really important to surround ourselves with good people. So in the absence of the Imam of our time, go find the best moment you can and just make sure you just spend time with them. Because a good believer, a good brother, a good sister is one who's going to protect their brother and sister in times of need. Ali ibn Abi Hamza had a friend, and that friend was having a hard time in life. So he comes to Ali ibn Abi Hamza, who's a companion of Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam, says, I would love the opportunity to meet the Imam. Can you set that meeting up? So he says, I had this friend, كان لي صديق من كتاب بني أمية. This is how the account begins. He said, he was kutab, kataba to write, kutab. So he was a scribe. So either he was a scribe proper, or maybe he was like a type of like an accountant or something. He wasn't no strategist, he wasn't an architect, he wasn't chief anything, just a scribe. So he said to him, استأذن لي عن أبي عبد الله عليه الصلاة والسلام. Please set this meeting up. So I went to the Imam and I requested permission. So when we met the Imam, فلما أن دخل سلم وجلس. We said salam, we sat down. And he said, جعلت فداك, may I be sacrificed for you? إني كنت في ديوان هؤلاء القوم. I work in the divan, in the administration, in this bookkeeping department of this qawm. Qawm means of the ruling party, so to say. فأصبت من دنياهم مالا كثيرا. And it's been a very lucrative career for me. I've amassed a lot of wealth. وأغمضت في مطالبه. But the fact that I am lending my skills in a position like this to a system like this is bothering me. I'm conflicted. I have an ethical conundrum. Sound familiar? So I was given an opportunity to serve in a lucrative career, and I've been doing a good job, and I've been very successful in my career, but I am bothered by the fact that I know something is not right. Who I work for, what they do, what they stand for, what contribution they make to the world, these kinds of things, فقال أبو عبد الله, the Imam told him, لولا أن بني أمية وجدوا من يكتب لهم ويجيء لهم الفيء ويقاتل عنهم ويشهد جماعتهم لما سلبونا حقنا. Before responding, he says, allow me to confirm your discomfort. If these Umayyads did not have people to serve as their scribes and their bookkeepers and to collect their dues and their taxes and to do their bidding for them and to kill their dissidents, they wouldn't have been able to usurp our rights. Yeah, the really bad ones are the ones that are working on these projects, but, right? Teamwork makes the, as they say, dream work. Well, I'm just a, no, Imam is saying you're just you're part of the, what do you mean? You're an employee of the company. You're just an employee of the company. That's all you are. Right? This is a factual statement. No, but I don't. Okay. I just work in the plumbing. Well, if the building had a leak, then they wouldn't be able to function business as usual, and because of that, maybe they wouldn't advance some of their other contributions to society. Anyway, the Imam is telling him this. It's a historical statement. Who knows if it's even reliable? Maybe it's wrong. وَلَوْ تَرَكَهُمُ النَّاسِ وَمَا فِي أَيْدِيهِمْ مَا وَجَدُوا شَيْئًا إِلَّا مَا وَقَعَ فِي أَيْدِيهِمْ. It says, if the people would just kind of leave them, abandon them, with all their wealth, with all their resources, with all their armament, with everything they have, they can keep it, the people would just leave. It means the human capital would just leave. What would happen? Nothing. They just sit there with their wealth. Right? If a huge corporation doesn't get someone to remove the roadblock of a, let's say, what's in the news today, like a whistleblower? If they don't have someone do their bidding to silence a whistle, and silence, of course, means many things, then, okay, all they have is, they have a job offer. Who wants to take this $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, $100,000, $1 million? If no one is willing to do their bidding, so that's it. They just sit there with their money. So clearly the human capital is important. So then this guy really breaks down now. جُعِلْتُ فِدَاكَ فَهَلْ لِي مَخْرَجٌ مِّنْ. Oh boy, I'm really, is there a way for me to get out of this? The Imam says, إِن قُلْتُ لَكَ تَفْعَلْ. If I tell you, are you really going to do it? He says, قَالَ أَفْعَلْ. I will, for sure. He says, okay, then do this. فَخْرُجْ مِنْ جَمِيعَ مَا اكْتَسَبْتَ فِي دِيوَانِهِمْ. He says, whatever you have earned, return this to their rightful owner. فَمَنْ عَرَفْتَ مِنْهُمْ رَدَدْتَ عَلَيْهِ مَالَهُ. If you know who it should have belonged to, go return it to them. And if you don't, وَمَنْ لَمْ تَعْرِفْ تَصَدَّقْتَ بِهِ. Give sadaqah if you don't know who it belongs to, who the rightful owner is. وَأَنَا أَضْمَنُ لَكَ عَلَى اللَّهِ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ الْجَنَّةِ. And I will promise in my capacity that should you do this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward you with paradise. So he says, he goes. This friend of Ali ibn Abi Hamza goes, he puts his head down, and he's thinking, he's in reflection, and he says, I'm going to do it. So he leaves. Some time passes, he said, everything that he had, he found a way to get rid of it. Now how he did it is not in the record. He said even the shirt that was on his back, he got rid of it. So we went and we helped together, we collected some funds for them, we gave it to them. He says some months later, he became ill. So this Ali ibn Abi Hamza, I went to visit him. And he was like kind of on his deathbed ill. Terminal illness. So as we were doing these, having conversations and probably receiving his, last instructions, his will, all those things, he says, in those final moments, he turned to me, he says, Ali ibn Abi Hamza, that promise that your mom gave, he was truthful. He was honest. He fulfilled it. And he closed his eyes and he died. So then the news came, they were preparing him for, the funeral processions and all that. And Ali ibn Abi Hamza said, the next time I went to see the Imam, before I said a word, I entered, the Imam says, we fulfilled our promise. So there's these two elements. To be successful as a supporter for the Imam, we also have to know where we don't lend our support. And the most challenging thing to do, I fail. I don't know, there's not even a question of, I will fail. But mu'mineen, Imam says, if you're honest, if you're truthful, if you're sincere, if you trust in Allah and you trust in us as your Imams, we'll take care of you. Didn't the Quran say we lend our support to the believing peoples? It is a right upon us for them. Don't doubt this. That's a difficult thing to do, but that will be the shift in paradigm that allowed the world that we're in today that seems to be so chaotic and evil to start to heal. That you and I have to learn to start saying no to some of the support that we're lending, even if it means it's going to throw a wrench in some of the planning that we've done before. Whatever plan we have, Allah has a better plan. Whatever strategy we have, Allah has the better strategy, and Allah is the best of strategists. All we have to do is trust. Ya Rabbi, inni lil Hussaini nasiru, wal ibn Sa'din tarikun wa hajiru. Sallallahu alayhi ya Aba Abdullah. Assalamu alayka ya ibn Rasulillah. Assalamu alayka ya Thar Allahi wa ibn Tharih. والوتر الموتور صلى الله على أمك وأبيك. In the few lines of Musibah that I'll recite, we mentioned Debil al-Khudai. Debil al-Khudai, in his famous poetry that he wrote, he had a few lines, of course, speaking about the tragedy of Karbala. Just recite them with a translation. أفاطم لو خلت الحسين مجدلا وقد مات عطشانا بشط فرات. O Lady of Heaven, O the light of the eyes of the Messenger, O our mother Fatima, if you beheld Hussain while he had fallen at the Euphrates bank while thirsty and slain, إذن للطمت الخد فاطم عنده وأجريت دمع العين في الوجنات. Should you have seen this sight, Ya Fatima, your cheeks you would have surely slapped at this sight. Indeed, burning tears would your holy face smite. أفاطم قومي يا ابنة الخير فاندبي نجوم سماوات بأرض فلاتي. O daughter of virtue, Ya Fatima, do rise and tears rain, for heavenly bodies spread across the desert plain. Come and look, Ya Fatima, just a few days ago, how your beloveds were there comforting each other in the tents. When the children felt a moment of fear, they would come to their fathers and uncles for comfort. Now look, O Fatima, just a short time later, all your beloveds are still here in Karbala, but they lay lifeless, their bodies trampled by the hooves of horses, their heads severed atop the spears paraded in the cities. فأما الممضات التي لست بالغة مبالغها مني بكنه صفاتي. And for those pains I cannot contain, for whom all descriptors fall in vain. قبور ببطن النهر من جنب كربلاء معرسهم منها بشط فراتي. Of graves in Karbala, in that river's flank, as though in sleep at the Euphrates bank. توفوا عطشانا بالفرات فليتني توفيت فيهم قبل حين وفاتي. Though they sleep in the Euphrates bank, indeed they died thirsty. Oh, what irony! Would that I have died while in their company. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. يا حسين يا حسين
Hussain, Ya Hussain, Ya Hussain, Ya Hussain, Ya Hussain, Ya Hussain, Ya Hussain, Hussain, Ya 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 Hussain, یاد آیا وہ سینہ زندہ میں سکینہ کو، 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 جس سینے پہ سوتی تھی ہے جس سینے پہ سوتی تھی معصوم سکینہ، زندہ میں سکینہ کو، یاد آیا وہ سینہ زندہ میں سکینہ کو، یاد آیا وہ سینہ زندہ میں سکینہ کو، یاد آیا وہ سینہ جس سینے پہ سوتی تھی ہے جس سینے پہ سوتی تھی معصوم سکینہ، زندہ میں سکینہ کو، یاد آیا وہ سینہ زندہ میں سکینہ کو، یاد کر ترس ذرا ظالم بابا کو نہ روؤں گی، میں گود میں مادر کی آرام سے سوؤں گی، بے رحم لعینوں نے بے رحم لعینوں نے فریاد سنی نا، زندہ میں سکینہ کو، یاد آیا وہ سینہ زندہ میں سکینہ کو، وہ سینہ ہے موت کی خاموشی تاریکی یہ زندہ میں، کیا جرم کیا لوگوں معصوم سی مہمانے، کوئی اور تو معصومہ ہے کوئی اور تو معصومہ یوں قید ہوئی نا، زندہ میں سکینہ کو، یاد آیا وہ سینہ زندہ میں سکینہ کو، یاد آیا وہ سینہ زندہ میں سکینہ کو، وہ سینہ ہر وقت چمکتا تھا کربل میں مدینے میں، تعویذ کی مانند تھا شبیر کے سینے میں، گم ہو گیا وہ کیسے ہے گم ہو گیا وہ کیسے زندہ میں نگینہ، زندہ میں سکینہ کو، یاد آیا وہ سینہ زندہ میں سکینہ کو، یاد آیا وہ سینہ، ہٹ جائے نہ غیرت سے سجاد جگر تیرا، میرے گھر کی یہ رونق ہے کہتا ہے پدر تیرا، یہ سوچ کے عابد کو ہے یہ سوچ کے عابد کو کچھ ہو سکینہ کو زندان میں بند کر کے سجاد یہ کہتے تھے نا کفن ملا مر کے تا حشر رلائے گا ہے تا حشر رلائے گا تیری موت سکینہ زندہ میں سکینہ کو یاد آیا وہ سینہ یا حسین یا
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. الله أكبر الله أكبر. الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن عليا ولي الله. أشهد أن عليا حجة الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. حي على خير الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. اللهم صل على محمد. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن عليا حجة الله عليه الصلاة والله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقعد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. كذلك الله ربنا. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. اللهم اجعل محياي محيا محمد وآل محمد ومماتي ممات محمد وآل محمد. صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. حول الله وقوته أقوم وأقعد. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. بسم الله وبالله والحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إني أسألك معجبات رحمتك وعزائم مغفرتك والنجاة من النار ومن كل بلية والفوز بالجنة والرضوان في دار السلام وجوار نبيك محمد عليه وآله السلام. اللهم ما بنا من نعمة فمنك لا إله إلا أنت. أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. الله.
Brothers and sisters, pardon the interruption. Just a reminder for tonight's program after CFK for the Shab Aza at 9:30 p.m. for the private program. The entire main hall will be for the men's. If there are any ladies who are staying behind for the Shab Aza, please move upstairs to the second floor. For those who are listening online, the entire main hall will be for the men's. Ladies will have access to the second hall to attend the Shab Aza. Therefore, for parking and entrance, men, please enter from the ladies' side into the main hall. For ladies, please come in through the main entrance in the rotunda for access to the second floor. Once again, the entire main hall will be for the men, and the upstairs will be accessible for the ladies, for those who would like to stay behind, and those who will be coming this evening for the Shab Azar. पर मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله اللهم صل على محمد أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم أشهد أن عليا حجة الله عليه الصلوات الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله أنت المحسن والمسيح صل على محمد الله أكبر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والسماء والطارق وما أدراك ما الطارق النجم الثاقب إن كل نفس لما عليها حافظ فلينظر الإنسان مما خلق خلق من ماء دافق يخرج من بين الصلب والترائب إنه على رجعه لقادر يوم تبلى السرائر فما له من قوة ولا ناصر والسماء ذات الرجع والأرض ذات الصدع إنه لقول فصل وما هو بالهزل إنهم يكيدون كيدا وأكيد كيدا فمهل الكافرين أمهلهم رويدا الله أكبر سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده الله أكبر الله أكبر سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده الله أكبر بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقعد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد كذلك الله ربنا اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم اللهم انصر للمسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات تابع بيننا وبينهم بالخيرات إنك مجيب الدعوات إنك على كل شيء قدير. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. الحمد لله كما هو أهله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم قل لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وأينا حتى تسكنه أرضك توأ وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
عجل اللهم في فرج مولانا صاحب العصر والزمان. السلام عليك يا رسول الله، السلام عليك يا خير خلق الله، السلام عليك يا خاتم النبيين، السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب وصي رسول الله، السلام عليك يا فاطمة سيدة نساء العالمين، السلام عليك يا حسن بن علي المجتبى، السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليكم مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد منا لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين وعلى جميع شهداء كربلاء ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام على 9 المعصومين من ذرية الحسين. السلام عليك يا علي بن الحسين زين العابدين. السلام عليك يا محمد بن علي الباقر. السلام عليك يا جعفر بن محمد الصادق. السلام عليك يا موسى بن جعفر الكاظم. السلام عليك يا علي بن موسى الرضا. السلام عليك يا محمد بن علي الجواد. السلام عليك يا علي بن محمد الهادي. السلام عليك يا حسن بن علي العسكري. السلام عليك يا مولاي يا صاحب العصر والزمان. السلام عليك يا كعبة الإيمان يا إمامنا وإمام الإنس والجان. عجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله تعالى مخرجك وظهورك، وجعلنا من خير أنصارك وأعوانك وشيعتك والمستشهدين بين يديك. السلام عليكم يا سادتي أهل بيت النبوة جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Brothers and sisters, once again a reminder, there is a Shab-e-Azah this evening at 9:30 p.m. If you are staying back, the entire main hall will be accessible for the brothers only. The second floor will be accessible for the ladies. Parking for those who are listening online and plan to attend. This evening, parking is going to be from the ladies' side for the men's. The second floor entrance is going to be for the ladies to have access to the second floor. Once again, the entire main hall will be only for the men's. Ladies who are staying behind and coming in later for Shab-e-Azah, please make your way to the second floor, as the entire main hall will be for the men's. Jazakallah khair. Brothers and sisters, also just a reminder, if you can inshallah gracefully make your way out of the main hall as soon as possible, so that the brothers and sisters who are setting up for the Shab-e-Azah may have access to the hall. Jazakallah khair. Sisters, if anyone is missing a phone, there is a phone that was left behind in the ladies' bathroom. If anyone's missing a phone, please check the ladies' bathroom.